Hey, greetings everybody. It's time for another Tune In with Trevor, and today I am so fortunate to have one of those legends with one word, Apollonia. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure, Trevor. So great to be here with you.
You became well known as a result of the movie Purple Rain, in which you starred with Prince. How did you get that job?
I actually read about it in Dramalog. It was this, magazine that we used to get as starving actors to go and sort of like go to castings. And if your agent didn't know about it, you had to pick up the phone and call them. In this particular instance, my agent had no idea. So I said, I'm perfect for that part. He made the appointment, and that's how it got started,
So it was just a cold audition?
Yes, I auditioned in Los Angeles with the managers and the director, Albert Magnoli. And I knew of Prince because I had saved the Rolling Stone magazine with Prince and Vanity on the cover. And I remember thinking, they're just like me. I want to be like them. I want to be in Rolling Stone. So I remember I, threw the outfit on, kind of rock star. And I auditioned. And then they made me take my shoes off, which I thought they probably had like some freaky foot fetish or something. And they just wanted to see how tall I was. So from then I got a call back right away. Everything happened within 7 days. They called my agent. They shipped me out to Minnesota. And then I get to meet Prince. And that was just extraordinary,
He was at the height of his popularity, though, wasn't he?
He was getting there. He was getting there. The movie had been rejected by James Brown production company. Warner's wanted John Travolta to play the lead. So I get there and I meet this, super shy guy. And he takes me out to eat spaghetti. And then they, take me back to my hotel room. He had Chick, his security guard that looked like Moses. And they dropped me off, and then they say, we're going to take you out at night for dinner. What he did is that he took me out to dance at First Avenue. So I remember...
Which is what, a nightclub?
The nightclub out in Minnesota. And that's where he used to perform all the time. And we ended up filming in there. So then I hear this knock on the door. Chick comes back and he says, the kid really likes you. And I was like, all right. So they pick me up. We go to First Avenue, and I wore this gold mesh outfit, the top, and my black spandex 80s pants. And I remember, he says, you want to dance? And I said, sure. And I knew that was a dance audition. So when we walked onto the dance floor, it was like the parting of the Red Sea, because everybody just kind of moved aside, right? And we danced, and everybody was watching. So I had to shuffle around a little bit, do the cha-cha and everything. So
did you have dance training?
Yes, as a child. I took tap and ballet. I still tap dance in my kitchen.
Well, he was 5'2", wasn't he?
Yes, and so am I.
Ah, so you were perfect.
Yes, so that's why they made me
for him.
Take the shoes off during the casting.
Who did he have anything to do with the script? Was it based on him, or where did that come from?
Well, the script, there was many evolutions. The very first one was for Prince and Vanity. And it was very dark, and it was very sexual, and didn't really have a plot, It was just this whole concept of, sex and, misogyny. So then Albert Magnoli came in, got involved, and William Blinn, great screenwriter. So then they gave it structure. And then that's where I came in. So a lot of the scenes, though, we did a lot of ad libs in the final product of Purple Rain.
So what was it like starring in a movie with him?
It was great. There was a lot of incredible moments that were iconic, and I could feel there was something really special happening. And, you feel that when you do a TV, episodic, or, I had made movies before, and I made movies in Mexico in Spanish, but this was unique. And I knew that something special was happening. And I felt so grateful to be part of that. And to see him, on stage, and to make new friends, and then to bring my element which he always says, an element of innocence. Even though I was half naked in a corset and did a topless scene, there was an innocence about, that character. So I brought Patty into Apollonia.
Did you have any idea that the movie was going to be so successful?
I started feeling something midway. I remember he walked me into my hotel room and he sat down on this little sofa and I sat on the bed and I said, you're going to win an Oscar for this. I go, not as an actor. I said, but for the music. I said, I could feel it. I said, get your Oscar outfit ready. And I remember he kind of slid off the sofa and he stood up. He says, you think so? And I said, yeah. I just felt something different. It was different.
And he did, didn't he?
And he did. He won for Best Score. There we are, at Man's Chinese. There we are. Army Archer is asking me questions. All of a sudden I look over, I could feel somebody looking at me and it's John Travolta, and he's like, hi. It was, I think to this day, those of us that are still here, still pinch ourselves and look back and think, wow, we made it to the Oscars, because here's this African-American, like he said, little black cat, he would call himself, right? And then you had the Jewish kids, and then you had me, the Latin, and girl from Trinidad, the All-American. It was like back then, the Benetton of colors. We were just like this fabulous rainbow of cultures and people mixed together that made the perfect casserole.
And how many years has it been?
It's been 40 years.
And to what extent is it still important in your life? I mean, are fans interacting? People still interested?
I've just found fans sending me, to this day, memes. It's become this iconic folklore movie, winning the Oscar, being in the Library of Congress, the National Registry, and it's just, people love it. And then people my age and younger are sharing it with their kids, because if you think of the soundtrack, it's timeless. It still works today, the music.
What was your relationship like with Prince during and after the movie? I don't believe you ever dated him, but you're friends.
Yes, we never dated. I was in love with him and he was in love with me. The last time I saw him, I hugged him and he says, I'm going to get choked up. I said to him, I love you. And he says, I love you too. And then he passed away like 6 weeks afterwards. We were in San Francisco and Oakland. It was a little bit after Vanity passed away, which really took my breath away because I felt like a piece of my life had passed away because people would compare us all the time, Denise Matthews and myself. But he and I, we were family. We had our disagreements. We fought, but it wasn't, crazy, fighting or anything like that. But, I would say no, I had boundaries, and he respected that because I wasn't afraid of him.
He didn't seem to have too many interpersonal relationships, as I can tell from a distance. You're one of the very few, if not the closest to him.
Yes.
So what do you think caused that such a closeness?
Just really listening to one another. I understood him. I understood his hindrances, his needs. I understood the family dynamics. I used to travel to Minnesota just to go visit his mom, Maddie. His dad was wonderful. His dad asked me to marry him once. Right? But Prince and I, we were like brother and sister. He saw the goodness in me. I saw the goodness in him. We would try to make each other laugh. We would do imitations all the time and, voices and laugh so hard I would snort and he would start laughing. So that sense of humor and camaraderie and family and the fact that we, like I said, we never dated. I spent the night with him once. I got really sick out there in Minnesota. I got a terrible cold. So he took care of me. We slept in the same bed. And at one point I was like, right. I was like, But he just, he covered me up and he gave me Sudafed, made tea. He made a raisin bread sandwiches with cheese and then scrambled eggs. And he just took care of me. I was so sick, I would lay underneath, like a cat, underneath his piano, and he would play for me. And the acoustics were wonderful down there. So he just, he had this like a sister, mother. He treated me like a mother, put me on a pedestal, which for me was kind of tough because I'm just like him. We're just ordinary people. He's got this incredible genius talent, but he was still just an ordinary guy.
So when he wasn't making music and you were just hanging out, what'd you do? Watch TV, play games?
We watch movies. We watch Wuthering Heights. I'm the one that played Sgt. Pepper's. He knew of the album. He had heard, some of the songs, but we sat there. He had this music room, little sitting room next to his bed. And we sat there and I started buying albums. I said, let's listen to this from its entirety. Then he would take the needle off the record. See, I just felt them off the record. And we would talk about that verse, that chorus, those lyrics. And that inspired him to do Around the World, because he did the Beatle haircut and, did Raspberry Beret. In the animation, that's me, because he bought me a beret. He would take me shopping to these secondhand stores, and I'd buy oils and, just really cool stuff. And I didn't like for him to pay for my things. I would, shuffle out my food stamps, right, that I was going to pay for this stuff. But he was like, no, I got it.
You, as I understand, wrote but were not credited with 2 songs that
Yes.
he did. What are they?
Manic Monday. That idea came from, I always told him, I said, I wish there was a day after Sunday before Monday, my I Don't Have to Run Day, called Smonday. And he was like, write that down. And I said, Smonday, because we all need a day in between, Sunday. And, we both co-wrote that. And then The Glamorous Life, that's basically about my life, If you can't afford, if you can't afford something, don't ask for the price, So, and then bringing Hollywood glam into Minnesota to him, I would take him to different stores. He shot with a lot of the photographers in Hollywood that I was shooting with, prior to Purple Rain. I took him to see Marilyn Monroe's grave,
Oh,
Westwood. So we did a lot of fun things like that. We'd go to the movies and we studied film, Wuthering Heights, Citizen Kane. And then once the reviews came out for the movie, I said, look, they're comparing you to A Hard Day's Night, to Citizen Kane. It was just incredible, to read those reviews in his hotel room at the Westwood Marquee. We just sat there and, he was scared. I wasn't, because I knew it was going to be something sensational, something positive.
why was he, do you have any inkling as to why he was so, I'm not going to say antisocial, so shy and quiet and in front of other people?
I think it was just his upbringing. He was thrown out of his house as a young kid, kind of abandoned by his parents. There was, domestic abuse in the family and alcoholism. So he retreated into himself. Being small, too, the stature is not easy for, a man, especially wanting to be, this larger-than-life rock star, which he then became. But if you see one of the first times he was on TV, I believe it was American Bandstand. He's so shy. He had like Dorothy Hamill haircut, no shirt, and he could barely talk. He's just using his fingers, and you could see he's nervous. And he said I was really nervous. I said, you look terrified. My first time on TV, I had quiver lips, so it's just,
You indicated you saw his father. I know he had a contentious relationship with him. Did they ever reconcile?
Yes, they did. It's amazing how families reconcile once that child becomes famous. They dig in each other's pockets, so to speak. But his father was proud of him. And Prince ended up dressing the dad in his, same look. And I think Dad ended up dating a couple of Prince's ex-girlfriends or something like that. Yeah.
All right. You went on after the filming of the movie to act in television and other
Yes.
productions. What are they?
I did Falcon Crest for a season. I did a few independent movies. And I put together a podcast, Apollonia Studio 6. I have other projects that I'm putting together. I did a solo album at Warner's, Apollonia, which took me around the world. When I was working, with the film Purple Rain, he selected me to go and pick up a lot of his awards. He goes, you know how to speak in public, except for the Grammys and the Oscar, of course. And then I had to tour the world to promote Apollonia 6, and then come home for a minute and then promote the movie worldwide by myself.
He didn't want to do it.
No, he knew that I was the right person to do that. So I represented him, all the albums from the movie. I was the only one that did it. He didn't send anybody else.
Have you learned any lessons from your work on this particular film, Purple Rain?
Yes.
Like?
I learned make sure you get your contracts all signed, right? And you collect your royalties. I learned from Prince, he brought out the best in me. So he taught me, to have confidence. He pulled out the best in all of us. And he was tough. He was a tyrant. But at the end of, the game, I was doing better than I actually thought that I had, within me, because that's what he was doing. So I learned, the discipline.
Tell me about the advice you would give to a younger person who is seeking a career as an actress and singer.
Don't let anyone get in your way, especially yourself. Never take no for an answer. Do the work. I remember years ago, Sally Struthers, I met her, and she says, I hope you can act as great as the way you look. Right? So she said that to me. And then Celeste Holborn says, they won't see what you won't show them when it comes to like nudity. It was, so simple. But my advice is just to do the work, study. There's a lot of competition out there, but don't let yourself be the competition. Don't compete with yourself. Just have an open heart and just do the work and go out there and just get it done. Kick the doors down.
What did becoming a celebrity, how did that change your life, if at all?
Oh, that was crazy. When he passed away, I couldn't leave my house because there was press outside. So someone brought a wig for me so I could get out. You get great tables at restaurants. And now with social media, it's there's greatness in it, but then there's, I don't know how kids today, it's like war. When you look at social media, especially with children being bullied, and then you see what happens to children, they end their lives. I don't know how it would have been for us with social media. It's a different world.
But you've had a great ride, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I stay positive. I'm close to God. God is always, I always say, baby Jesus, take the wheel. I believe, and I have that strength that has kept me here. I take care of myself. Not a party girl. We would go out to clubs to be seen and all that, to promote the music, but I'm still here. So I live every day with gratitude. And
you have been, you're very pretty. How have you been able to maintain that?
Natural. I read something that somebody on social media wrote, they accused me of having, surgery. And I was going to say, if anybody out there could find the plastic surgeon, they'll give me $10,000 because it doesn't exist, him or her. My grandma was 106 years of age. When she passed away, she had flawless skin. My mother, also beautiful skin. Thank you for saying that. But I just take care of myself, and I have earned my wrinkles. I'm proud of them.
Listen, it has been such a delight to have you here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Shane.
I'm so grateful that Apollonia could be here and share these interesting anecdotes in her life. I want to commend all of you for watching Tune In with Trevor, and ask that you subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.